Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Today, we're diving into a topic that truly touches every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. It's not about physical fitness or career goals, though those are important. It's about something even more foundational. Today, we're talking about mental health and why it's absolutely crucial in our everyday lives.
That's right, Adam. Mental health is the invisible thread that weaves through everything we do, how we think, how we feel, how we connect with others, and even how we chase our dreams. And yet, for so many of us, it's something we overlook, suppress, or misunderstand. But here's the thing. Prioritizing your mental health isn't just important. It's transformative.
Exactly, Sophia. Think about it. How many times have we pushed through stress, ignored our emotions, or felt isolated, thinking we just need to tough it out? But what if we told you that taking care of your mental health could make you more resilient, more productive, and more fulfilled? What if it could change your entire outlook on life?
And that's what we're here to explore today. We'll be breaking down the stigma around mental health, sharing practical strategies, and diving into the tools that can help you thrive, not just survive. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed, struggling with a specific challenge, or simply curious about how to nurture your mind, this episode is for you.
All right, let's start at the very foundation. What exactly is mental health? We hear the term thrown around all the time, but what does it really mean? Mental health, at its core, is about our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and behave in our daily lives. It influences how we handle stress, relate to others, and make decisions. You know, Sophia, I think a lot of people don't realize just how much mental health impacts every aspect of their lives.
Absolutely, Adam. And here's the thing. Mental health isn't just the absence of mental illness. It's not as simple as saying, "Oh, I don't have anxiety or depression, so I must be mentally healthy." It's about thriving, not just surviving. Good mental health means you have the resilience to bounce back from setbacks, the capacity to enjoy life, and the ability to manage emotions like stress, sadness, or even anger. It's a dynamic state. It's not static, and it can change depending on what's going on in your life.
That's such an important distinction, Sophia. I think we often forget that mental health is just like physical health. It needs constant care and attention. If you don't eat well, exercise, or get enough sleep, your physical health suffers, right? Well, the same goes for your mental health. Neglecting it can lead to a buildup of stress, feelings of burnout, and even physical symptoms like fatigue or chronic illness. And the scary part is, many people don't even realize that these symptoms are tied to their mental well-being.
Exactly. And let's not forget, mental health is influenced by so many factors: our genetics, our environment, our upbringing, and even societal pressures. For example, someone growing up in a supportive and loving environment may have an easier time maintaining good mental health compared to someone who's faced trauma or constant stress. But, and this is crucial, it doesn't mean we're powerless. No matter your circumstances, there are always ways to improve and nurture your mental health.
Right. And what's interesting is how interconnected mental health is with other areas of our lives. For instance, if you're mentally healthy, you're likely to perform better at work, maintain healthier relationships, and even feel physically better. On the flip side, poor mental health can lead to strained relationships, decreased productivity, and even physical illnesses. It's all connected. But let me ask you, Sophia, why do you think there's still such a lack of awareness about this?
That's a great question, Adam. I think a big part of it is stigma and misunderstanding. For so long, mental health issues were seen as a sign of weakness or something to be ashamed of. People didn't talk about it openly. Thankfully, that's starting to change. But there's still a long way to go in terms of normalizing conversations about mental health and recognizing that it's just as important, if not more, than physical health. And, there's another layer to this. Sometimes people don't prioritize mental health because they don't know how. They're not taught that it's okay to seek help, or that self-care is a necessity, not a luxury.
That's so true, Sophia. And that's why conversations like this are so important. If we can help even one person understand that mental health isn't something to ignore, that it's okay to seek help, and that there are tangible ways to nurture it, then we've done our job. In fact, I think this is the perfect time to dive deeper into the misconceptions surrounding mental health and why breaking the stigma is so crucial. Now that we've laid the foundation of what mental health is, let's dive into something that's been a major obstacle for so many people: the stigma around mental health. Sophia, why do you think mental health has been such a taboo topic for so long?
That's a big question, Adam. And I think a lot of it comes down to fear and misunderstanding. For decades, mental health issues were shrouded in secrecy. People didn't talk about them because they were afraid of being judged, labeled, or even ostracized. Think about it. How often have you heard phrases like, "just snap out of it," or "you're being dramatic"? These dismissive attitudes create a culture where people feel like they have to hide their struggles.
Absolutely, Sophia. And it's not just about fear of judgment. It's also about a lack of education. Many people simply don't understand what mental health issues look like or how they affect someone. For example, someone might assume that depression is just feeling sad or lazy when, in reality, it's a complex condition that can make even basic tasks feel impossible. This ignorance feeds into the stigma and makes it harder for people to seek help.
Exactly. And there's another layer to this: cultural and societal expectations. In many cultures, there's a huge emphasis on being strong and self-reliant, especially for men. Admitting that you're struggling mentally can be seen as a sign of weakness or failure. It's heartbreaking because this mindset prevents so many people from reaching out for support when they need it most.
That's such a good point, Sophia. And what's worse is that stigma doesn't just affect individuals, it ripples out into families, workplaces, and even healthcare systems. When mental health isn't taken seriously, resources aren't allocated to address it. Employers might not provide mental health benefits. Schools might not teach kids how to manage stress or emotions. The result is a society that perpetuates the problem instead of solving it.
Absolutely. And let's not forget how stigma affects those who do seek help. Even today, someone might hesitate to see a therapist or counselor because they're worried about what their friends, family, or co-workers might think. It's as if admitting you're going to therapy is seen as admitting defeat, when in reality, it's one of the strongest, most courageous things you can do.
Right, Sophia. And it's not just about therapy. People also shy away from discussing their emotions openly or even taking a mental health day from work. Meanwhile, if someone has a cold or breaks their arm, no one bats an eye. We have to start treating mental health with the same importance and normalcy as physical health.
Exactly, Adam. And the good news is, change is happening. Celebrities, athletes, and public figures are starting to share their mental health journeys. Campaigns like End the Stigma are gaining traction, and conversations like this are becoming more common. But the change needs to happen on an individual level too. We all need to ask ourselves, how can I be more understanding and supportive of mental health, both for myself and for others?
That's such a powerful question, Sophia, and I think one way to answer it is by educating ourselves and others. When we learn more about mental health, we can start to see it for what it really is, a crucial part of being human. It's not a flaw or a weakness. It's just as important as our physical health. And when we approach it with empathy and compassion, we can break down those barriers of stigma, one conversation at a time.
Absolutely, Adam. And I think it's also about creating safe spaces where people feel comfortable sharing their experiences without fear of judgment. It's about normalizing the conversation and reminding everyone that they're not alone. Mental health struggles are far more common than we think.
Exactly, Sophia. And that's why we're having this conversation today. The more we talk about it, the more we can challenge the stigma and encourage people to take their mental health seriously.
Adam, this is such an important topic. The thing about everyday stressors is that they often fly under the radar. We brush them off as just part of life, but over time, they can accumulate and take a serious toll on our mental and physical well-being. For instance, let's consider work stress. People often think, it's just my job, I'll deal with it. But chronic work stress can lead to burnout, anxiety, and even depression if it's not managed properly.
Absolutely, Sophia. And it's not just work stress, right? Think about relationships, family arguments, misunderstandings with friends, or the pressure of being a parent. These situations might seem like they're just part of daily life, but they add up. If we don't acknowledge the stress they cause, we risk letting it seep into other areas of our lives, like our sleep patterns or our ability to focus.
Exactly, Adam. And let's not forget how modern life itself contributes to stress. Technology, for example, is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it keeps us connected and informed, but on the other, it creates this always-on culture where people feel they have to respond to emails, texts, and notifications 24/7. This constant connectivity can be mentally exhausting.
That's so true, Sophia. It's like we never get a moment to breathe. And then there's financial stress. For many people, worrying about bills, rent, or unexpected expenses can be a constant source of anxiety. It's not just about having enough money, it's about the uncertainty and lack of control that financial issues bring. That kind of stress can feel overwhelming.
Absolutely, Adam. And let's talk about how all these stressors impact us. Even if they seem small in isolation, their cumulative effect can lead to what's called chronic stress. This isn't just feeling frazzled for a day. It's an ongoing state where your body and mind are in a heightened state of alert. Chronic stress can weaken your immune system, increase your risk of heart disease, and make mental health conditions like anxiety and depression worse.
That's such a crucial point, Sophia. And I think it's also worth noting that stress doesn't just affect us individually. It can impact our relationships, our work performance, and even how we see ourselves. When you're under constant stress, it's easy to feel irritable or disconnected, which can strain your relationships with loved ones. It's a ripple effect.
Exactly. And another thing to consider is how stress affects our coping mechanisms. When people are stressed, they often turn to unhealthy habits like overeating, smoking, or excessive screen time as a way to numb the discomfort. While these habits might provide temporary relief, they usually end up adding to the problem in the long run.
That's so true, Sophia. So, recognizing these everyday stressors and their impact is the first step. Once we're aware of what's causing our stress, we can start to address it. But awareness alone isn't enough, right? We need practical strategies to manage and reduce stress, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. So, stay tuned for some actionable advice that you can implement today. All right, let's dive into something truly fascinating, the mind-body connection. It's this idea that our mental state can directly influence our physical health and vice versa. Sophia, what's your take on how intertwined our minds and bodies really are?
Adam, it's absolutely incredible. Science has shown us time and again that our mental and physical health are deeply connected. Let's start with stress. When you're stressed, your body reacts as if it's under physical threat. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, and your breathing becomes shallow. This is the fight or flight response, and it's your body's way of preparing for danger. But here's the catch. If stress becomes chronic, your body stays in that heightened state, which can lead to serious health problems like high blood pressure, weakened immunity, and even digestive issues.
That's such a powerful point, Sophia. And it works the other way around too, right? For instance, If you're not taking care of your body, eating poorly, not exercising, or getting inadequate sleep, it's bound to affect your mental health. A lack of proper nutrition can lead to brain fog and irritability, while poor sleep can make anxiety and depression symptoms worse. It's a cycle that feeds into itself.
Exactly, Adam. And let's not forget about the role of physical activity. Exercise isn't just about keeping fit, it's a natural mood booster. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which are chemicals that help reduce stress and improve your mood. It's why a brisk walk or a yoga session can feel so rejuvenating. And it doesn't have to be intense. Just moving your body in any way can have profound effects on your mental well-being.
That's such a good point, Sophia. And mindfulness practices like meditation are another fantastic example of the mind-body connection. When you meditate, you're not just calming your mind, you're also lowering your heart rate, reducing blood pressure, and even improving your brain's ability to regulate emotions. It's like giving both your mind and body a reset.
Absolutely, Adam. And let's talk about the gut-brain connection, which is another fascinating area of research. Our gut is often referred to as our second brain because it's home to millions of neurons and produces around 90% of the body's serotonin, the chemical that helps regulate mood. If your gut health is out of balance, it can affect your mental health, leading to issues like anxiety or depression. This is why a healthy diet is so important for both physical and mental well-being.
Wow, Sophia, that's such an eye-opener. It really makes you think about how holistic health is. And I think what's really empowering about the mind-body connection is that it gives us agency. By making small, positive changes in one area, like starting a morning stretching routine or eating more whole foods, we can create a ripple effect that improves our overall well-being.
Exactly, Adam. And this isn't just about fixing problems, it's about prevention. By understanding and nurturing the mind-body connection, we can build resilience and protect ourselves from future health issues. It's about giving ourselves the tools to thrive, not just survive.
Such an important takeaway, Sophia. And for those listening, don't worry if this feels overwhelming. We're here to break it down for you. In our next segment, we'll explore practical ways to leverage the mind-body connection to improve your everyday life. So, stick around. It's going to get even more actionable. Now, let's talk about something that is often overlooked when it comes to mental health: the role of social support. We're all familiar with the saying, "It takes a village." But have we really thought about how critical those social connections are when it comes to our mental well-being? Sophia, why do you think social support is so important?
Great question, Adam. Social support is absolutely crucial for mental health because humans are inherently social creatures. We're wired for connection, and having a strong support network can provide us with the emotional resources we need to cope with stress, overcome challenges, and maintain a positive outlook. Whether it's friends, family, or even support groups, these relationships offer not just empathy, but practical help as well, which can make a huge difference in our mental health.
You're right, Sophia. And it's more than just having someone to talk to. Studies have shown that strong social connections can actually lower levels of anxiety and depression. When we feel supported, our bodies release oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, which helps reduce stress. It's like a natural buffer to life's ups and downs.
Exactly. And having someone who listens to you, who understands your feelings without judgment, is incredibly powerful. Think about it. Just having a friend who tells you, "I'm here for you," or a family member who checks in regularly can create a sense of safety and belonging. That feeling alone can help reduce feelings of isolation and loneliness, which are often at the core of many mental health struggles.
And it doesn't always have to be deep, long conversations, right? Sometimes it's just about spending time together, even in silence, or doing activities that bring joy. It's those small moments, sharing a laugh, going for a walk, or simply being present, that can really help maintain and strengthen our mental health.
Exactly, Adam. Social support doesn't always have to be verbal. Even sharing a meal, watching a movie together, or just texting to check in on someone can foster those deep connections. It's the consistency of these positive interactions that can help us build resilience to stress. And let's not forget that giving support is just as important as receiving it. Helping others, offering a kind word, or even listening can be incredibly rewarding for both parties.
That's so true, Sophia. And there's this misconception that we need a large circle of friends to feel supported. But really, it's the quality of our relationships that matters most. Even having a small group of people you can rely on can make all the difference. The key is knowing who to turn to in times of need and nurturing those connections.
Absolutely, Adam. It's all about the depth of the connection, not the size of the network. And social support is not just about reaching out in moments of crisis. It's about having ongoing, meaningful relationships that provide both joy and comfort, regardless of whether you're going through tough times or just navigating daily life.
Such a great point. And this is why we should never underestimate the power of a simple check-in, a text message, or a quick phone call. These seemingly small acts of kindness are the building blocks of a healthy social network, which, as we've learned, is so vital to our mental well-being.
Exactly, Adam. And for those of you listening, if you don't feel like you have that support network right now, don't worry. You can start building it, one step at a time. It can be as simple as reaching out to someone you trust or joining a community group. You'd be surprised how quickly your support system can grow.
All right, let's dive into a really important topic, recognizing the signs of mental health struggles. Sophia, I think this is such a critical discussion because so often people don't even realize they're struggling until things become overwhelming. Why do you think it's so hard for us to notice the signs in ourselves or others?
That's such a great question, Adam. I think part of the reason is that mental health issues can often feel invisible. Unlike a physical injury, you can't always see what someone is going through. And there's this societal pressure to keep it together, which makes it easy to dismiss or downplay feelings like stress, anxiety, or sadness as just having a bad day. But in reality, these feelings might be indicators of something deeper.
Right. And I think we've all been guilty of brushing off warning signs in ourselves or others. Sometimes we say things like, "I'm just tired," or "It's just a busy week," when in fact, we're experiencing prolonged stress or burnout. But Sophia, what are some of the key signs we should look out for, both in ourselves and in the people around us?
Great question, Adam. For starters, let's talk about changes in behavior. If you notice that you or someone else is withdrawing from activities they usually enjoy, avoiding social interactions, or just seeming more irritable or distant, those could be red flags. Similarly, changes in sleep patterns, like sleeping too much or too little, or noticeable shifts in appetite, are often linked to mental health struggles.
That's so true. And I've read that persistent feelings of hopelessness or being overwhelmed can also be significant indicators. Like when someone says things like, "What's the point?" or seems unusually pessimistic, those are signals we shouldn't ignore. But Sophia, how do we balance recognizing these signs without overreacting to normal fluctuations in mood?
That's a great point, Adam. It's natural for everyone to have off days, but the key is duration and intensity. If these feelings or behaviors persist for weeks or start to interfere with daily life, like work, relationships, or self-care, that's when it becomes a concern. Another major sign to look out for is difficulty concentrating or making decisions. It's as if the mental load becomes too much to bear.
Exactly. And what about physical symptoms? I feel like people often forget that mental health struggles can show up in physical ways too, right?
Absolutely, Adam. Physical symptoms like headaches, stomach issues, or even chronic fatigue can often be linked to mental health struggles. It's the body's way of signaling that something's off. And on the flip side, some people might overcompensate by becoming overly perfectionistic or hyper-focused, which can also be a way to mask deeper issues.
Wow, Sophia, you've brought up so many valuable points. I think one of the biggest takeaways here is that recognizing these signs, whether in yourself or someone else, requires paying close attention and being empathetic. But what should someone do if they recognize these signs in themselves or others?
That's the crucial next step, Adam. The first thing is to acknowledge what you're feeling or noticing. If it's you, give yourself permission to feel without judgment. If it's someone else, approach them with compassion, not criticism. Simple phrases like, "I've noticed you've seemed a bit down lately. Do you want to talk about it?" can go a long way.
Such great advice. And if the issue feels overwhelming, seeking professional help is always an option. There's no shame in talking to a counselor, therapist, or even a trusted mentor. Mental health struggles are common, and the sooner we address them, the better.
Absolutely. The goal is to create a safe space, whether for yourself or someone else, to open up and get the support needed. And to everyone listening, remember, recognizing the signs is the first step toward healing and maintaining mental well-being.
All right, Sophia, let's talk about self-care, a term that's become a bit of a buzzword lately. But beyond the trendy hashtags, self-care plays a critical role in maintaining our mental health. Why do you think self-care is so vital, especially in today's fast-paced world?
That's a fantastic point, Adam. Self-care is essentially about taking intentional actions to nurture your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. In a world where we're constantly on the go, it's easy to forget to check in with ourselves. But neglecting self-care can lead to burnout, increased stress, and even more serious mental health challenges. It's not just about luxury, it's a necessity.
Exactly, and I think there's a misconception that self-care is just about spa days or pampering yourself. But it's so much more than that, isn't it? Self-care can be as simple as setting boundaries, getting enough sleep, or even saying no when you need to. What are some practical self-care practices that people can incorporate into their daily lives, Sophia?
You're absolutely right, Adam. Self-care doesn't have to be extravagant. Here are a few practices that can make a big difference. 1. Physical self-care. This includes regular exercise, staying hydrated, eating nutritious meals, and ensuring you get quality sleep. 2. Emotional self-care. Journaling, practicing gratitude, or talking to a friend can help process your emotions. 3. Mental self-care. This could be reading a book, learning a new skill, or engaging in mindfulness exercises like meditation or deep breathing. And let's not forget the importance of taking breaks, especially for people who tend to overwork themselves.
Those are great tips, Sophia. I'd add that digital detoxes can also be a form of self-care. We spend so much time glued to our devices that stepping away for even 30 minutes can help clear our minds and reduce anxiety. Have you tried that before?
Definitely, Adam. Taking a break from screens can be incredibly refreshing, especially before bed. I also make time for activities that bring me joy, like cooking or spending time outdoors. It's about finding what recharges your energy and prioritizing it without guilt.
I like that you mentioned guilt. Many people feel guilty about taking time for themselves, as if it's selfish. But in reality, self-care allows you to show up as your best self, for work, relationships, and life in general. Do you think people underestimate the long-term impact of consistent self-care?
Absolutely, Adam. Self-care is like maintaining a car. You wouldn't skip oil changes or ignore warning lights and expect it to run smoothly. The same goes for our mental and physical health. By investing in ourselves regularly, we build resilience and are better equipped to handle life's challenges.
Such a powerful analogy, Sophia. So, for our listeners who might be struggling to make time for self-care, where should they start?
Start small, Adam. Identify one thing you can do daily that makes you feel good. It could be as simple as taking a 10-minute walk, drinking water first thing in the morning, or writing down 3 things you're grateful for. Consistency is key, even with small habits. Over time, these practices add up and make a noticeable difference.
Sophia, let's shift gears and talk about something incredibly important: therapy and professional support. There's often a lot of hesitation around seeking professional help for mental health issues. Why do you think that is?
That's a great question, Adam. I think the hesitation comes from a combination of stigma, fear, and misunderstanding. Many people see therapy as a last resort, as if it's only for those in crisis. But the truth is, therapy can benefit anyone, whether they're dealing with severe challenges or simply looking to better understand themselves. It's like having a personal coach for your mind.
Exactly. And just like we go to the doctor for our physical health, therapy is a way to take care of our mental health. Yet so many people feel they should just tough it out on their own. What do you think contributes to this mindset?
It's a mix of cultural norms and misconceptions, Adam. Many people grow up hearing phrases like, be strong, or don't air your dirty laundry. There's this idea that asking for help is a sign of weakness. But in reality, seeking help is one of the strongest things you can do. It shows self-awareness and a willingness to grow.
That's such a powerful perspective, Sophia. Let's talk about what therapy actually offers. From my understanding, it's not just about venting, it's about gaining tools and strategies to manage life's challenges. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely, Adam. Therapy is so much more than just talking. A therapist provides a safe, non-judgmental space where you can explore your thoughts and feelings. But they also help you identify patterns, challenge negative beliefs, and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Depending on the type of therapy, you might work on specific techniques like cognitive restructuring in CBT or even mindfulness practices.
And therapy isn't one size fits all, right? There are so many types: CBT, psychodynamic therapy, even art therapy. How can someone decide what's best for them?
Great question, Adam. It often depends on the individual's needs and goals. For example, CBT is great for tackling specific issues like anxiety or depression because it focuses on actionable strategies. Meanwhile, psychodynamic therapy digs deeper into past experiences and how they shape current behavior. The best way to decide is to consult with a licensed professional who can guide you based on your situation.
That's such helpful advice. And let's not forget about the role of medication when needed. While therapy is incredible, sometimes people benefit from a combination of therapy and medication. What's your take on that?
I completely agree, Adam. For some people, medication provides the stability they need to fully engage in therapy. It's not an either-or situation. Therapy and medication often work hand in hand. The key is to work with a qualified professional who can create a personalized plan for you.
Let's also touch on accessibility. Therapy can feel out of reach for some due to cost or lack of resources. What are some alternatives or ways to make professional support more accessible?
That's such an important point, Adam. Many communities offer sliding scale fees, free clinics, or online therapy options that are more affordable. Apps like BetterHelp or TalkSpace provide access to licensed professionals at a fraction of the cost. And for immediate support, there are crisis hotlines and mental health organizations that offer free resources.
That's encouraging to hear, Sophia. For anyone listening who might be hesitant about therapy, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
I'd say, don't let fear or stigma hold you back. Therapy is not about being broken. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Even one session can offer insights that change how you approach life. You're investing in your well-being, and there's nothing more important than that.
Beautifully said, Sophia. Therapy and professional support are tools we all deserve access to. Now let's dive into something that can truly change the game in terms of mental health: cultivating a positive mindset. Sophia, we hear a lot about positive thinking and staying positive, but what does it really mean to cultivate a positive mindset?
That's such a great question, Adam. Cultivating a positive mindset isn't just about thinking happy thoughts or ignoring life's challenges. It's about shifting your perspective to focus on growth, resilience, and the possibilities in every situation. It's acknowledging that life has ups and downs, but choosing to look for the lessons in the tough moments and finding the silver lining.
I love that distinction, Sophia. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about how we respond to challenges. So, how can someone start cultivating a positive mindset, especially if they're dealing with tough times?
One of the first steps is practicing self-compassion. We tend to be our own harshest critics, right? But when we're kind to ourselves, it becomes easier to stay positive. You can also reframe negative thoughts, meaning instead of saying, "I'll never be able to do this," you can say, "This is hard, but I can learn and grow from it." It's all about shifting the narrative we tell ourselves.
That's such a powerful tool, reframing negative thoughts. But I imagine this doesn't come naturally for everyone. Is it something that takes practice?
Definitely, Adam. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice reframing, the easier it gets. It takes time, but little by little you start to rewire your brain to default to positive thinking. It's not about ignoring negative emotions, it's about balancing them with hope, possibility, and action.
And it sounds like gratitude plays a big role in this process, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Gratitude is a game changer. When you consciously focus on what you're grateful for, even in difficult times, it shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. It's easy to focus on what's going wrong, but when you actively practice gratitude, you start to notice all the good things, even the small ones.
I've heard that gratitude can actually help rewire the brain. Is that true?
Yes, it's absolutely true. Studies have shown that practicing gratitude can activate areas of the brain associated with positive emotions. It can increase happiness, improve relationships, and even boost physical health. Gratitude can literally change how you see the world and, in turn, improve your mental well-being.
So, it's really a daily practice. Can you give us some simple strategies for how to integrate gratitude and positive thinking into our everyday lives?
Of course. A great place to start is by keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Sometimes the small things, like a warm cup of coffee or a good conversation, are the most meaningful. You can also practice affirmations. Start your day by telling yourself, "I am capable," "I am worthy," or "Today is full of opportunities." The key is consistency and intentionality.
I love the idea of a gratitude journal. That seems like an easy and powerful habit to adopt. And as you mentioned, affirmations are another way to start the day with a positive mindset.
Exactly. And another strategy is to surround yourself with positivity. Whether it's the people you spend time with, the media you consume, or the environment you create, make sure it nurtures positivity. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, it can be harder to maintain a positive mindset.
That makes total sense. It's like you have to protect your mental environment, just as you would your physical one. Now I know it's not always easy, especially when life throws curveballs. How do we stay positive when things don't go as planned?
It's definitely challenging, Adam, but this is where resilience comes in. When things don't go as planned, instead of getting stuck in frustration, you can ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? It's about viewing setbacks as stepping stones, not as roadblocks.
That's a really powerful perspective shift. Viewing setbacks as lessons rather than obstacles can change everything. Do you have any final advice for anyone trying to cultivate a more positive mindset?
I'd say be patient with yourself. It's a journey, not a destination. The more you practice gratitude, self-compassion, and reframing negative thoughts, the more natural it will become. Don't expect perfection, but trust that every positive thought you cultivate brings you one step closer to a more positive life.
All right, let's jump into a crucial topic that affects so many of us: mental health in the workplace. Sophia, we often talk about mental health in our personal lives, but how does it really play a role when it comes to our jobs and professional lives?
That's a great question, Adam. The workplace is a huge part of our lives, and it's a place where many people spend a significant amount of time each day. Mental health in the workplace is just as important as physical health, yet it's often overlooked. Stress, burnout, anxiety, and even depression can all stem from work-related pressures, and unfortunately, many people don't feel comfortable addressing these issues in a professional setting.
Exactly. It's like we're expected to put on a brave face and power through, but the reality is, mental health issues can seriously affect performance, relationships with colleagues, and overall job satisfaction. So, why do you think mental health gets overlooked in professional settings?
Well, one of the main reasons is stigma. There's often this misconception that talking about mental health at work is a sign of weakness or that it might hinder career advancement. People might fear that discussing their struggles will make them seem less competent. But the truth is, mental health challenges are common, and addressing them openly can actually improve productivity, job satisfaction, and even workplace relationships.
That's a huge point. If we don't talk about it, it's easy for people to feel isolated or like they're the only ones struggling. But in reality, so many of us face these challenges. So what can companies and individuals do to foster a more supportive environment when it comes to mental health?
First, companies need to prioritize mental health by creating an open and supportive environment. This can include offering mental health resources like counseling services, creating flexible work policies, and making sure employees know that it's okay to ask for help when needed. Encouraging open conversations about mental health can help reduce stigma and create a more inclusive culture. On an individual level, employees can start by taking care of their mental health proactively, setting boundaries, managing stress, and speaking up when they need support.
That's really important, especially for employees. It's essential to understand that you're not alone, and seeking support doesn't make you weak. It's a sign of strength. Now let's talk about stress, which is probably one of the most common mental health struggles in the workplace. How can we manage stress effectively in our work lives?
Great question, Adam. Stress is inevitable in most jobs, but it's how we manage it that makes all the difference. One technique is practicing time management. If we don't feel overwhelmed by a long to-do list, we're less likely to experience stress. Another approach is learning how to say no when we're at capacity. Setting boundaries around our workload is key. Additionally, integrating mindfulness practices, like deep breathing or meditation, into your daily routine can reduce stress and keep you grounded. Even taking short breaks throughout the day to clear your mind can do wonders.
Yeah, taking breaks can make a huge difference. It's so easy to get caught up in the rush of work, but stepping away for even just 5 minutes to stretch or breathe deeply can reset your mindset. Now, Sophia, I know that workplace relationships can also impact mental health. How can we navigate interactions with colleagues in a way that supports both our mental health and theirs?
Workplace relationships can have a huge impact on mental well-being. Positive, supportive relationships with colleagues create a sense of camaraderie and can buffer against stress. It's important to maintain healthy communication, being open, respectful, and empathetic. If a colleague seems stressed or down, just asking them how they're doing can make a world of difference. Offering support without judgment shows that you care. But also, make sure to protect your own emotional boundaries. It's about striking a balance between being there for others and taking care of yourself.
I love that approach. Being there for others while also maintaining healthy boundaries. It's about fostering that sense of community, but not at the cost of your own mental health. What do you think are some signs that someone might be struggling with their mental health at work, but not speaking up about it?
Some signs to look out for include noticeable changes in behavior, like increased irritability, withdrawal from colleagues, or a drop in performance. People might also express feelings of being overwhelmed, anxious, or disengaged. If someone is more absent from work or visibly fatigued all the time, it might be a signal that they're struggling. And sometimes it's not always obvious. That's why it's important to create a culture where people feel comfortable reaching out before things get too overwhelming.
That's such an important point. Creating that open culture is key. Lastly, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling overwhelmed at work and isn't sure how to prioritize their mental health while still keeping up with responsibilities?
First, take a step back and assess what's truly important. Prioritize tasks, delegate where possible, and ask for help if you need it. It's okay to not have everything figured out. Second, practice self-compassion. Acknowledge that you're doing your best, and it's okay to have limits. And finally, make sure to integrate self-care practices into your daily routine. Whether it's exercise, reading, or spending time with loved ones, it's essential to recharge and give yourself permission to rest.
Great advice, Sophia. Taking care of our mental health at work is just as important as taking care of our physical health. The more we prioritize it, the better we can perform in our careers and live balanced, fulfilling lives.
Exactly, Adam. Mental health is a vital part of overall well-being. When we nurture it, we not only improve our professional lives, but our personal lives as well. Let's keep the conversation going and break the stigma around mental health at work. The more we talk about it, the more we can make positive changes.
Now, let's dive into something incredibly important: teaching mental health awareness to the next generation. Sophia, this is something that can have a huge impact on the future. How important do you think it is to start talking about mental health with young people?
Absolutely, Adam. It's crucial that we begin the conversation around mental health with children and young adults as early as possible. By teaching them about mental health, we can help remove the stigma and equip them with the tools they need to manage their own mental health and support others. Growing up with a healthy understanding of mental health can shape how they approach it as adults, and it can have a lasting effect on their overall well-being.
I couldn't agree more. It's all about creating a safe environment where young people feel comfortable talking about their emotions and struggles. But the tricky part is, where do we start? How do we approach mental health with kids in a way that's age-appropriate and engaging?
Great question, Adam. When we talk about mental health with children, it's important to use language that they can understand. For younger kids, it could be as simple as talking about feelings, helping them identify emotions like sadness, anger, or happiness. You can teach them healthy ways to deal with those emotions, like taking deep breaths or talking to someone they trust. As kids get older, you can begin introducing concepts like stress management, recognizing when they need help, and building resilience. And, importantly, we should model these behaviors ourselves. Children often learn by example.
Right. So it starts with understanding emotions and creating healthy habits to cope with them. But as they grow into teens and young adults, things get more complex. Mental health struggles like anxiety, depression, and stress can start to show up. How do we ensure they feel equipped to handle those challenges?
Exactly. Teenagers face so many pressures: school, social life, and even their own self-identity. This is when open dialogue becomes essential. We need to normalize discussions about mental health, encourage them to speak up when they feel overwhelmed, and let them know it's okay to seek help. Encouraging resilience through coping mechanisms like mindfulness, exercise, and creative outlets can be valuable too. We can also introduce them to professional resources, like counselors or mental health hotlines, so they know where to turn in times of need.
It sounds like we need to create an environment where mental health is viewed just like physical health, something that needs regular attention and care. So, for educators and parents, what steps can they take to make mental health a part of the curriculum or daily routine?
Great point. One way schools can integrate mental health awareness is by teaching emotional intelligence as part of their curriculum. Educators can incorporate activities that help students recognize their feelings, practice empathy, and resolve conflicts. For parents, it's important to be open, non-judgmental listeners. Make sure kids know they can talk to you about their struggles without fear of being dismissed or judged. You can also introduce daily habits like gratitude journaling, mindfulness, and setting aside time for self-care, so they build habits that support their mental health from an early age.
I love that. And for those who might not know where to begin, simple things like asking kids how they're feeling each day or offering them a safe space to talk can go a long way. It's not about having all the answers, but creating that open line of communication, right?
Exactly. It's about showing kids that their mental health matters. Encouraging healthy discussions about mental well-being, validating their feelings, and letting them know it's okay to ask for help are all key steps. And let's not forget, we as adults need to be proactive in our own mental health so we can set that example.
So true. Our own mental health journey directly influences how we teach the next generation to handle their own struggles. By making mental health a priority, we're helping kids grow up with the tools they need to navigate their lives with confidence and resilience.
Exactly. If we can raise a generation that understands and values mental health, we'll see huge improvements in how mental health is treated in the future. The more we talk about it now, the more we empower them to speak up and seek help when they need it. It's all about breaking down the barriers and starting the conversation early.
And that's a powerful message to leave with. Let's continue to lead by example, normalize mental health discussions, and equip young people with the tools to thrive emotionally and mentally. This is something that can change the future for the better.
Absolutely. Let's continue to make mental health a priority, not just for ourselves, but for the future generations. Together we can create a healthier, more resilient society.
Well said, Sophia. Thanks for sharing all these valuable insights today. I hope this conversation inspires everyone to be more mindful of mental health, both for themselves and for those around them. Stay tuned for more episodes, and let's keep pushing for positive change.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Remember, mental health is a journey, and it's okay to ask for help along the way. Take care, everyone. Thank you.